Yo, welcome to the channel. In this video today, we're going over the Stamina Nightblade for the Deadlands patch. So let's go ahead and just dive right on into it. Maximum health is 19.7k. Maximum stamina is 31.6. Stamina recovery unbuffed is 1.6. Weapon damage is 4.7. Weapon critical is 67.4, and physical penetration is 5.5. Now I'm an orc, so keep that in mind. Some of these stats may change depending on your race. But if we go ahead and just buff up here with a weapon power pot and everything, our stamina recovery goes up to 2k, and our weapon damage goes up to 5.5. Now this weapon damage will still get higher because we have the chant, the weapon enchant to proc, and we have one of our sets, the weapon damage we get from the proc there. So overall, our weapon damage goes up to almost 7k when we're fully buffed selfed. So 64 points here into stamina. The food I'm running is the Lava Foot Soup and Saltries. Just increases my max stamina and stamina recovery. As an orc, one of our passives, we get extra health. So at 19.7, I'm really comfortable at that maximum health. If you need more and to get a little extra recovery and some stamina, you can always go with Dubious Camoran Throne food. It's a little harder to get, a little more expensive if you buy it from traders and stuff like that. But it'll give you a little bit of recovery. Your recovery will drop to around 1400. Your max health will go up to almost 23k, and your stamina will drop to around 29 though. So keep that in mind. So now the boot that I'm running is the Thief, just for an extra, just more weapon crit. So now the champion points here in the green tree, passive wise, Gilded Fingers Fortune Favors just increases the gold that you can get from items. This increases your gold by 10% from everything. And then Fortune Favor, when you pop a chest or a safe box, you get an extra 50% gold from that. And then we have Steadfast Enchantment, which when your enchantment fires off, you have 50% chance to not consume that charge. So basically, you just get a free proc from your enchants for nothing. So you have 50% chance. Now, ones I keep on my bar at all times is Treasure Hunter, increased quality of items you find in treasure chests. I keep Master Gatherer and Plentiful Harvest on my bar, which basically gives me a 50% chance for double resources and a 50% reduced time in gathering those resources. I mostly keep these on my bar while I'm waiting for groups or trials to form, just whatever. Dungeon queues, it's there. I run around and I just farm resources. If you don't care about these though, you can replace them with something else, like Steve's Blessing, which increases your out of combat movement speed by 20%, and Rationer, which gives you an extra 30% or 30 minutes on your food or drink. And then I keep Liquid Efficiency on my bar as well. Whenever you use a potion or poison, you have a 10% chance to not consume it. And that is great for this setup because one, we are using weapon power pots and we are using poisons. So that extra 10% is just gold we ain't got to spend on that stuff, or mats that we don't have to use to make them. So Red Tree, there are tons of passives. So the ones that we keep on our bar is Balanced Vitality. It gives us an extra 1400 max health. Fortified, which gives us an extra 1.7k armor. Rejuvenation, which gives us an extra 90 health, magic, and stem recovery. And then Bloody Renewal, which when we land the killing blow on an enemy, we get an extra 1500 stamina back. So now passive wise, we have Defiance here, which reduces cost to break free. Tumbling, which reduces the cost of roll dodge. Mystic Tenacity, which reduces the duration of elemental status effect applied to us by 25%. Hero's Vigor is a really good passive to have. It gives us an extra 560 max health. Wind Chaser, in this little branch here, we have Hasty, which gives us an extra 4% movement speed. We have Sprinter, which reduces the cost of sprint by 40. Tireless Guardian reduces the cost of block by 40. Fortification increases the amount of damage we can block by 4%. Savage Defense reduces the cost of Bash by 90. Bashing Brutality and increases the damage of our Bash. And then here in Walking Distance, we have Nimble Protector, which increases our movement speed by 6 while we are blocking. So, and a nice little one to have as well. You can really go either here or here. It doesn't matter which way you go up. But Tempered Soul, return to when you're resurrected, you get an extra 10% of your resources back. So basically, if you just wasn't paying attention, or maybe you lagged up or something, and you got hit, you got one-shotted, or you got killed, when you get rezzed, this right here will give you 10% of your resources back. That's magic, stamina, and health. So at least this way we're not on empty and got a heavy attack a couple times, or if we don't have a potion up or whatever, this will help us out. So in the blue tree, we have 20 here into precision, gives us an extra critical chance, 20 into tireless discipline, which increases our max stamina. And then we have 20 here into piercing, which gives us 700 offensive penetration. Then we have battle master here, which increases the chance to apply martial status effect by 60%. And mighty, which grants 100 weapon and spell damage to martial attacks, affects physical, poison, disease, and bleed damage. Now, the ones I have on my bar, I keep fighting finesse on my bar at all times, which increases our critical damage by 10%. And then I have biting aura, which increases our area effect attacks by 10%. Deadly aim, which increases our single target attacks by 10%. And thermometer, which increases your damage done with damage over time effects by 10%. Now, personally, I like Master at Arms on here too, but I think I was trying out something and forgot to switch it. So when I did the DPS test to show just how high you can hit on this, I kind of left it at this, so I just kind of left it alone. But personally, normally I run Master at Arms over Thermometer. I would usually run these three with Fighting Finesse. But if I can stay behind the enemy in dungeons or when I'm in trials and I know I'm going to be able to stay flanking the enemy, I replace Biting Aura with Backstabber. So I keep Deadly Aim, Master at Arms, and run Backstabber and Fighting Finesse. But just run whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with. But if you can't stay behind the enemy, then Backstabber isn't going to do you any good. So just keep that in mind. Now, for sets, the first set we're running is Storm Fist. We're running light helmet and light shoulders, all divines, all max stamina. Now, what this does, it gives us stamina recovery, and when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create a Thunder Fist to crush the enemy, dealing 1.5k shock damage every 1 second for 3 seconds to all enemies within 4 meters, and a final 14.9k physical damage. When the fist closes, this effect can occur once every 8 seconds and scales off the higher of your weapon or spell damage. Now, this comes from Tempest Island. It really is one of the easier monster sets to get. The final boss can kind of be a pain, but as long as you hug her until she does her AoE, and then you just back out, and then as soon as it explodes, you run back in. You just repeat that process until she's dead. You won't really get the tornadoes up, and she won't charge and one-shot anybody. So you really shouldn't have any issues there as long as the group follows that one mechanic. That's it. Shouldn't have any other trouble throughout the dungeon. It's just that final boss can sometimes mess people up. But as long as you do that, you shouldn't have any issues. Now, if you're just starting and you can't get into Tempest, or maybe you're just having trouble getting through Tempest, Crags, it's a really good one. This comes from Fungal Grotto 1. It is the easiest dungeon in the game. You don't even have to take out all the bosses in that dungeon. But this gives you offensive penetration, and when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to spawn trigger limbs that create shockwaves in front of you, dealing 1.3k physical damage every 0.6 seconds for 2.4 seconds. Effect can occur once every 6 seconds. Nice little bit of damage. Now keep in mind, proc sets now can crit again. So Storm Fist can crit, so can Crags. But those are the two monster sets I would run. There's just no doubt about it in my mind that Storm Fist is the best monster set right now for stam characters, at least. That is stam. Now, I will say, if you are good with light attack weaving and stuff like that, Mjolnir's Nightmare here is probably the best monster set right now. But again, you've got a light attack. So if you're not really good at light attack weaving, this won't do you any good. So just stick with Storm Fist. But if you're okay with light attack weaving, then Mjolnir's, however it is, Nightmare set here from a Hollow Grave is probably the better set to go with. That's just me personally. But Storm Fist is still pretty solid. Nothing to joke around, nothing to laugh about. So it works. Now, the first 5-piece set that we're running comes from Crypto Hearts. It's just a basic set. It comes from a very beginning dungeon. It's Leviathan. We're all running it on the body, all divines, all with max stamina. And this it gives us max stamina, critical chance, and a huge boost of critical chance. So, if you were to gold this out, your crit would go up to around, I think it's like 68.6. So, it's like an extra 1.2 crit. So, purple on the body is absolutely fine. It's not a huge difference. Now, I like this. And it comes from Crypto Hearts. It's just a nice little set that gives us some extra crit. Um, Basically, the Mother Sorrow set for stamina, and it's medium. So we roll with it. Now, on our back bar here, we are running the Maelstrom bow with infused with a weapon damage enchant. Now, all this does is increase the damage volley deals by 430 each tick. This increases by 143 every time volley ticks, up to a maximum of 8 times. Now, normal Maelstrom Arena is easy. It is very easy. It might take you 30 minutes to get through it. It might take you more than one run, but with the new RNG system, you should eventually get one. So I would go in there, run it. It's not going to hurt nothing. Having this will increase your DPS by at least 2 to 3k, as long as you keep volley up. So get it if you can, if you have the time. It is in Rothgar, so you do either need the Orsinium DLC or ESO Plus to go in there and get it. It's just nice to have, and it does increase your DPS quite a bit. So now for the second 5-piece set that we're running is a new set. It was a Magicka set, but now due to the hybridization, the set is just fun. It's Moon Hunter. We're running 2 Moon Hunter daggers, 1 Nern, 1 Precise, because our crit is at 67.4. If you wanted to, you can run one of these sharpened to increase your penetration even a little bit more. It would take your penetration up to around 6.7. But I'm doing okay where I'm at with the Precise, so I've just left it at Precise. So the enchants you have on these doesn't really matter. You can keep the Absorb Magicka enchant where it restores stamina, or Magicka if you want when you get it, because we're always going to run poisons with this. Basically, we're just running ground lethal poisons because we have so many of them, but it deals 1.5k poison damage per second for 3.5 seconds and 9.86 poison damage per second for 6.4 seconds. Now, what this set does is it comes from Moon Hunter Keep, and it gives us weapon damage, critical, and then when your alchemy poisons fire, increase your weapon and spell damage by 535 for 8 seconds. Now, the poisons, you can look at it, one lasts for 3.5 seconds, one lasts for 6.4. It's all going to do a nice little bit of damage, but as you can see, it has a 10 second cooldown. My bad, not 10%, but a 10-second cooldown. So, this set will stay up for 8 seconds. So either way, you're going to have anywhere between at least a 2-second downtime on this proc. So, at the most, mine tends to fire off. I've had some fire off at 3 seconds. I've had some not fire off until 5 seconds. But either way, I have not had anything. It has not taken longer than 5 seconds. Because usually once you have your dots going and your, you got your light attacks going on, this usually procs within, that 2 to 5 seconds. I've had some proc the moment it hit 10 seconds. I've had some not proc until, like I said, 5 seconds. It just depends on your luck. But I've never had it take more than 5 seconds to proc. So, you're looking at anywhere between a 2-second to, well, I would say at least a 3-second to a 5-second cooldown before this procs again. So, but we're running double daggers, Nern, Precise, and then jewelry, all 3 bloodthirsty, all with weapon damage enchant. Now, if you wanted to, you could do 1 infused, but I had these already transmuted to bloodthirsty, and I didn't feel like retransmuting them. You can do 2 bloodthirsty, 1 infused, but I would at least try to keep 2 bloodthirsty. Just me personally. So, but do whatever you feel comfortable with. Now, if you don't want to run Moon Hunter Keep, you can get through it on Fed because it is light armor. So if you wanted to, you could run like 2 pieces on the body here and just have medium helmet and Storm Fist, and the helmet and shoulders be medium. Then have 2 light pieces here, and then run 2 pieces of Leviathan jewelry here, and then 1 Moon Hunter if you wanted to. But the Moon Hunter you're definitely going to want as the weapons. Now, if you don't want to run Moon Hunter, you don't want to farm it, you have options. The Truth set, critical chance, maximum stamina, weapon. It gives you weapon damage, and when you deal damage to the enemy who is off balance, your weapon and spell damage is increased by 460 for 10 seconds. Now, we can proc this with one of our spammables, so you don't necessarily have to have a group that can provide you off balance. So you have an ability that can do it for us. But I'm not using that spammable in this rotation. I will show you the spammable that you will have to switch out when you're using the Truth set. Of course, there's Kinra, which is probably one of the better sets right now for magic and stamina class. Gives you weapon damage. Gives you critical chance, weapon damage, and when dealing damage to a light or heavy attack, grants you a stack of Burning Heart for 5 seconds up to 5 stacks. While you have 5 stacks generated, you generate an Aura of Wrath, granting you Major Berserk, increase your damage done by 10%. While you have an Aura of Wrath, allies within 12 meters you gain Minor Berserk, increase their damage done by 5%. Now, if you're having trouble light attack weaving, again, this isn't going to do you any good. So if you're not really that skilled with light attack weaving, Kenra isn't going to do you any good. Now you have Briarheart. It gives you critical chance, max stamina, critical chance, and when you deal critical damage, you increase your weapon and spell damage by 450 for 10 seconds. While this effect active, your critical strikes heal you for 252 health. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds, and the heal scales off the higher of your max magicka or stamina. So, this set here, it is Briarheart, but this is a quest dagger that you get from Orsinium. So you don't even have to do much. The quest is like right in here. Basically just have to run around. It takes about 10-15 seconds. Or not 10-15 seconds, but 10-15 minutes. And you'll get a named dagger. It is powered, so you will have to transmute it. And then, just for a craftable set, you have New Moon Acolyte. Gives you critical chance, weapon damage. Offensive penetration, it adds 401 weapon and spell damage, but it does increase the cost of your active abilities by 5%. So, if you don't want to run Moonhunter, don't want to farm it, those are the sets I would swap it out with. All stipulations, these just for New Moon, Briarheart, and Armor of Truth are pretty solid sets. If you're good at light attack weaving, go with Kenra's. Just me personally. So, skills. First skill that we're running as our spammable is Rapid Strikes. We flood an enemy with steel, battering them with 5 consecutive attacks that each deal 1.5k physical damage. Each hit increases the damage of this subsequent hit by 3%. The final hit deals an extra 300% more damage. Now, if you run Armor of Truth, this is what you're going to want to swap it out with. You're going to want to swap it out with Surprise Attack. Slash an enemy, dealing 9.3k physical damage and apply this under his status effect. Attacking with Surprise Attack from the flank stuns the enemy for 3 seconds and sets them off balance. So that will proc Armor of Truth for you. So that's just what I would swap it out. Now, if you don't want to use weapon power pots, if you want to get away from that, you can use Hidden Blade here. Use that as your spammable. I would go with Shrouded Daggers. Flying Blade, you basically, when you reactivate it, you jump to the enemy. But Shrouded Daggers increase the damage, and the dagger now bounces up to a total of 3 times. It's going to deal 7k physical damage per hit. If enemies hit or cast and they're interrupted, set off balance, and stunned for 3 seconds. You also gain Major Brutality, increasing your weapon damage by 20% for 20 seconds. So you can use Trash Pots if you use Shrouded Daggers. Outside of that, that's really the only way for us to get Major Brutality. Unless you want to use Power Extraction here for more of an AoE, which is fine. Sometimes if I'm doing normal, I will put Power Extraction on and replace Camo Hunter. But it's up to you. To me, it's just easy to use weapon power pots and just roll with this build. Then we have Rending Slashes. Slice an enemy with both weapons to cause deep laceration, dealing 2.9k bleed damage with each weapon and causing them to bleed for an additional 10.2k bleed damage over 10 seconds. Relentless Focus. Focus your senses for 1 minute. Increase your weapon and spell damage by 60 with every light or heavy attack up to 5 times. While active, hitting an enemy with 5 light or heavy attacks converts this ability into Assassin's Scourge, allowing you to fire a Spectral Arrow for half cost that deals 17.4k disease damage and heals for 33% of the damage dealt that you are within melee range. We will always be in melee range, so we will always get that 33% heal. So, Killer's Blade. Thrust a caustic blade with lethal precision, stab an enemy, dealing 4.6k disease damage, deals 300% more damage to enemies below 25% health. Heals you for 4k if the enemy dies within 2 seconds of being struck. A portion of the ability scales off your max health. So, this is our execute. I know it says enemies below 25% health, but I really don't start spamming this until 18, somewhere between 18 and 15%, depending on the boss. This then becomes my my spammable. I stop worrying about the rest of my dots and stuff once the boss is around 8% health. If it's trial boss, usually, most trial bosses, when they have 15% health, they still have millions of HP. So it's still good to keep up your dots and stuff. I just stop using Rapid Strikes here and just start using Killer's Blade. So, and then Camouflaged Hunter. It's really just here. While solid, you gain Major Savagery, increase your weapon critical rating by 2.6. You also gain Minor Berserk for 5 seconds. After you deal critical damage from an enemy's flank, increasing your damage done by 5%. It's usually just here for that, but using weapon power pots, we don't really need the major savagery. And if you have somebody in the group giving you combat prayer, you won't really get the minor berserk either, so just replace it with barb trap. This will keep a fire skilled ability on your front, and it might help you with your rotation a little bit because we do run barb trap on a back bar. It lasts for 20 seconds, but that's just might make things a little easier for you. So our ultimate is Incapacitating Strike. Ravage an enemy with a swift strike, dealing 14k disease damage and causing them to take 20% more damage from your attacks for 6 seconds. If cast with 120 or more ultimate, the enemy is stunned for 3 seconds. While slotted, you gain Reeve, which restores 100 magic and stamina when you deal damage with a light or heavy attack on an enemy with a negative effect on them. So, this is the best ultimate for a Nightblade. I understand Dawnbreaker and them, but if you're a Nightblade, Incapacitating Strike is what you use. They take an extra 20% more damage from you for 6 seconds. So it's worth it. It's 72 ultimate, so you usually get this back pretty quick. Plus with the passive and siphoning, after we drink a potion, you gain 20 ultimate. We usually get this back extremely fast. So it's worth using. Plus we have it on both bars because of the fact that there's also a passive here. Increase your weapon and spell critical rate by 438 for each assassin ability slotted. Current bonus is 1314. So on our back bar, we wouldn't have one, so it's still nice to have Incapacitate Strike on our back bar just for that little extra increase in damage. So, and with an assassin ability slotted, increase your critical damage by 10%. So even when we swap bars, it's still there. So it's just nice to have this on both bars. That's just all it is. So we have Dark Shade here. This lasts for 20 seconds, and it summons a shade version of yourself to attack an enemy and fight at your side for 20 seconds. Shade slashes at an enemy, dealing 2.8k magic damage, and occasionally whirlwinds all enemies around it, dealing 2.8k magic damage once every 2 seconds. The Shade's attack inflicts minor maim, reducing enemy damage done by 5% for 4 seconds. The ability scales with your highest offensive stat, so this ability does scale off of our weapon damage. So, and then we have Arrow Barrage here. Launch multiple arrows into the sky to rain down, dealing 1.8k physical damage to enemies in the target area every 1 second for 8 seconds after a 2-second delay. This lasts for 10 seconds. This lasts for 20 seconds. So as you can see, it's just kind of easier with the rotation. So you're going to cast this every second rotation. So, Leeching Strikes. Imbue your weapon with soul-stealing power, causing your light and heavy attacks to heal you for 1.4k health and restore 106 stamina for 20 seconds. Fully charged heavy attacks restore twice the value. You restore up to 4.2k additional stamina when the effect ends based on length of time Leeching Strikes was active. So this is 20 seconds too. Barb Trap. Set a sharpened blade trap at your location, which takes 1.5 seconds to arm and lasts for 15 seconds. When triggered, the trap deals 4k 40-40 bleed damage and additional 15.8k bleed damage over 18 seconds and grants you minor force increasing your critical damage by 10% for the duration. So this will last 18 seconds with a 2-second arm. So, but again, you can cast this every second rotation. You would just put this down, Arrow Barrage, Dark Shade, rotate. Or Bar Trap, Leeching Strikes, Arrow Barrage, Dark Shade, rotate. And then you would usually either incap, fire off a bow, or any slashes. You know, just whatever. And then we have Vigor on our back bar, which is just a nice little heal, 16k heal over 4 seconds. And then again, Incapacitating Strike. So, got some stuff going on there in chat. Let me bump up. So as it comes down, rotation 36.9. I have hit 38.2, but this was just a quick little small rotation. I did let a couple of my dots fall off. That was my fault. But 36.9, it's pretty solid for the gear that I'm running. That would have been a lot higher with Backstabber and stuff equipped. It would be around 40k, but 36.9 is pretty solid, and I'm quite enjoying this little setup. I'm loving it. It's fun. I've loved Moon Hunter on a lot of builds. I've tried running it on Magic Tunes quite a bit. I've always liked that little extra weapon and spell damage. or spell damage. And now that it is a hybrid set, I'm loving it on a stam tune. So, for the rotation wise, you would always buff up. You hit your siphoning, that. So, you would drop Barb Trap, Pop Pot, Elements, Shades, Raining Slash. You can incap here, and then fire off your Scourge Bow at this point. And then you would just start spamming your spammables at this point. And then, as it gets to that 10 seconds, you would Endless Hail, and then Raining Slashes, fire off your bow when you have it, and just go back to Raining Slashes. And then on your second rotation, Barb Trap, Siphoning, Arrow Barrage, Shade, and then just come back. It's very easy. The first starting out, you would just buff up. After that, every second rotation, you would come to your back bar to lay down Trap, Siphon if you need the resources, Arrow Barrage, and Shade, with a light attack in between each one. And you would just bar swap, Raining Slashes, and then Rapid Strikes. And then as it gets down to the end, you would just Killer's Blade, and you would drop Rapid Strikes to just Killer's Blade. That's it. And then as it gets to 8, you would keep up. There are times where you won't need the sustain, so you don't even have to worry about siphoning. You can just go Barb Trap, Endless Hail, Dark Shades. It's a judgment call. If you think you're going to need the sustain, then use this every second rotation. If you're not going to need it, then don't use it. Just keep it in mind, it's a judgment call. But it's there if you need it. But keep in mind, if you don't have it going for the 20 seconds, you're not going to get the most out of it. So if you want it to, you could do it every third rotation and just keep it going that way. If you wanted to, it's up to you. Use your pots when you have them. But I'm loving this setup. I've had some fun with some of my Stamina Nightblade setups, but I really think Moonhunter. I've been enjoying Moonhunter on a lot of the builds. It's just fun for me. I'm loving the hyperization. I'm enjoying trying some of this stuff. Let me know what's... Yeah, but that's pretty much the build. If you've had some crazy setups with some of these new hybrid items, let me know. I'd love to hear some more. So until next time, take care and have fun. And